Yeah, it go. Resurrection. In bed for breakfast. Kundalini rising through my solar plexus. Voice say do the work, you know the message. Pop up on the mic for early morning sessions. Ladies, tell me, how do you interpret that? Give me there and I'll get you a Birkin bag. I will. Vegan version that. Women carry everything. You see the earth in that? Women carry everything. Let it rain upon my melanin and start the day. With the work, the future's not so far away. Introduce your crossover like Hardaway. You can watch me make the game and show you how to play. I'll be swinging through.
That's Stuby Kas Resurrection. We're going to be going live right now with Stuby Kas IT to break down Source 06 2020 wrap-up. I just want to take this quick moment to give condolences to MF Doom. We lost a veteran, I guess, a few months back, and it was revealed yesterday, so I just wanted to kind of take the moment to kind of sit on that. Tremendous loss, and I think one of the greatest pens to ever grace hip-hop, so it's kind of what that is. I'm going to bring in Stuby Kas IT right now, and we'll go ahead and do that verse breakdown. Go ahead and see what's going on with that. Bum, bum, bum. Yo, what's going on, IT? How you doing, brother?
I'm blessed, man. I'm here. I'm glad. You know what I'm saying? And we live. So
looking fresh out here, man.
I'm doing my thing. You know
fresh New Year cut. What's going on?
Nah, I'm letting it grow. I'm doing the grow thing. You know what I'm saying? It's all about growth.
I have to pull the hat trick. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, man, I feel it. You know, three in a row. You know what I'm saying?
Listen, bro. You know how it goes, right? I took my influence from Greg IT. I pulled on my beanies, you know?
Yeah.
I'm playing, but you've been good, man. Hopefully.
Yeah, man.
Stay
safe. Out here in LA, you know what I'm saying? It's extra important because there's a lot of folks in the hospitals right now. We send our thoughts out to the people who've been lost through coronavirus and who continue to struggle through that. Yeah, man, I'm in the house. So
in the house.
You know what I'm saying?
Type P.
Yeah.
You really know vibes. But yeah, I mean, it's good to kind of to see you on the screen. I mean, it's been a minute since you've graced Life is a Freestyle page. You know what I'm saying? Gotta give a quick shout out to the OG host. Back in the building, back in the business.
Yeah,
you
man.
know? And you came through with a verse, clean verse. Kind of got a few layers, got a few things going on there. And I'm trying to peel back and kind of see what's going on in the mind of soon to be known All-Star. To be known All-Star, right?
That's right. Soon to be known All-Star.
But we can call you soon to be though, right? It's a fact.
Soon to be. Stuby Kas is probably the best one right now.
That's the way to go, right?
Yeah.
I was recording the track because he said on the Resurrection, like it's Stuby, you can call me soon to be. Is lit, you know?
Right.
But yeah, let's get into this verse 2020 wrap up.
Yeah, man.
Usually the way we do this is we get this live rendition. Kind of kick it to us. We can kind of get it from the man himself.
You get the organic, the acapella, the live, the original. So it goes 2020's finally over. Now it's time to bring in 2021. We're probably through the worst of everything, so the better days are soon to come. We lost a lot of people left and right due to sickness like the virus of corona. The only way you didn't get the news was you were sitting tight up in a coma of a comet that Ben knew we was tripping like Osiris Rex. Funny that they use Egyptian god plus a dinosaur for the flex. By the time that you come back, hopefully everybody will be Rona free. Regardless, and since I'm one of the hardest, I'ma still be on a flow and spree. Yeah, you know it's me, Stuby Kas. Who the gods? I'ma say it's me and you. Even if the order's coming from above us, we are still the final ones to see it through. So do your best. Who the best? We the best. DJ Khaled would agree. Imagine how we flip it if they look at us from 2020-23. A painful year of transition followed by a beneficial transmission. Give them something good to talk about. We ain't got to stick to fan fiction or the kitchen. Cooking up, looking up is good during the day and the night when the stars out too. Ambition got to be about you. Staying hopeful, never doubt. Pull.
Jeez. That last OG Jay-Z flow, that was crazy.
During the day and at night when the stars out too. I'm gonna break that down.
Oof. All right, so we got a few layers. I mean, it's you're kind of setting the tone. You're kind of doing the wrap up through a rap. It's kind of ill. That's kind of the packaging of it, right?
Shout to Skills, Mad Skills. always coming through with the wrap ups from about 2010. I don't know if there was one this year. I was hoping for one. I was looking for one, but I didn't see one. So I felt like, it might be good to have somebody do a brief wrap up. And I mean, we could only do the 1 minute thing here. You know what I'm saying? I could definitely go on 5 to however many minutes, you know what I'm saying? But like, we keep it tight here. We want to make sure that this is succinct. It's something that could be easily broken down in about an hour or less, you know what I'm saying? So
100%, 100%. And I feel like the constraint kind of it forces us to work with kind of with what we have. If we can't do it in 16, then you know those lessons, right? So
it's a lot of lessons, yeah.
So taking it back to the verse, in the beginning, it feels like you're kind of walking us through it. It's a little bit like there's what's the word for it? It's very kind of to the point, very direct, right? You're kind of taking us through the course of what happened in 2020. You bring up the Corona. I like the coma bar. It was kind of funny. It had like a little bit of humor. But the piece I want to get to, which I feel like you start using more literary devices, more like schemes when you say Benu. So, and I noticed in the lyrics you had it as Benu, like it was written different. So can you kind of touch on that a little bit?
Yeah. So it's funny because like, first of all, this all came to me in the shower. You know what I'm saying? Like not all of it, but like definitely a good portion of it. And it came in like different blocks. So I had to kind of like fit it all together after I was done with that. So, but one of the things that the theme of this is that I was trying to kind of like put things in a perspective of like, to your point about the coma thing, right? So that kind of led into like, okay, well, you were either in a coma sleeping or you were in a coma of a comet that Ben knew, right? Because like there's only one comet that was really a big kind of, and it wasn't a comet, it was actually an asteroid, but it was called Bennu, Bennu, and it was an asteroid that that NASA sent a satellite to, and I think it was maybe 2013 or 14 or 16 or something like that, but it got to the asteroid this year, and they actually I was actually watching the NASA live stream. It was like maybe September or August of this year, and they were actually going through the process of like landing the satellite or a portion of it onto the actual asteroid so they could scoop up a sample and bring it back to Earth. This is the first time this has ever been done. This is like a monumental thing for NASA. So yeah, I mean, it was like that comet or that in this case, that asteroid, not only was the name of it Bennu, but it, I'm obviously putting a double entendre, or you're kind of playing with the phonemes a little bit and saying it been new, because like what we say obviously is like, oh, I been knew that. It was like a long time ago. You know what I'm saying? So like also personification, right, of the asteroid by saying the asteroid knew, right? It been new is known probably forever because everything out in space has existed out there for as long as, whatever. And so like whatever things that we've done, obviously sending a satellite made of metal and silicone and whatever to an asteroid is a sign that there's a civilization out there that's trying to like search out in the universe for stuff. And so having arrived at this kind of ancient, heavenly body, heavenly figure, you know what I'm saying? It kind of was like, oh yeah, of course you guys were going to eventually come around to like sending out a satellite to me, so it's kind of one of them things.
And I like that. Well, I'm gonna be honest. The Bennu part, honestly, I wasn't hip to that asteroid comet. So, but I knew there was something there because like the way obviously you delivered it. You know what I'm saying? It felt like there was more layers to it, right? The other piece too is I like the idea of when you say Bennu in terms of time, because even they say like on Earth time is different than so on and so forth, right? So that's kind of another layer to it that's ill in terms of that, right? And then from moving on there, you continue with if you want to kind of take it from there, you kind of
I mean like so just to kind of break it down line by line, if you don't mind, I'll start from the top.
Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Yeah, man. So like obviously the first couple of lines, 2020 is finally over now. It's time to bring in 2021. That's self-explanatory. introductory, just trying to like, the biggest thing for me was just trying to make sure that I was making it accessible to anybody and everybody. So when I did the video, you saw the captions at the top so that you could follow along just in case you didn't catch it. And then I was like, we're probably through the worst of everything. And it's just because 2020 has been such a bad year, in terms of like people dying and like, all of the politics and all of the posturing that's been going back and forth and stuff like that. So like hopefully and trying to look at things from a ambition kind of standpoint or maybe looking into the future with a positive light. Hopefully we've been through the worst of everything. But I'm saying, when I did the video, I was like, maybe there's more to come, but I know for sure that it can definitely go up from here. It can go down too, but we're at such a place of history where like there ain't too much worse it can be, like other than like nuclear war and some other stuff like that. Like literally the whole world is shut down right now.
It's like super chaotic, right? Everything.
Yeah, right.
Going crazy.
So I want to have the positive outlook of it can only go up from here, and it will go up from here starting soon because we all know that we're looking forward to this year, to 2021. We're looking forward to this because we want to get out of that. We want to try to clean the slate and start maybe fresh, or at least, try to build upon the learnings that we got from the year as an encapsulated period of time. Right. So the better days are soon to come. I use soon loosely, of course. I'm also soon to be known all-star. So I'm not telling you exactly when I'm going to be known, but it's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? So that's all it is. And then I said I lost a lot of people left and right. I use left and right specifically because obviously in the political season of 2020, left and right in America was definitely one of those big things, conservative, liberal conservative. And so, we lost people that way too. It's not just that we lost people to coronavirus, but we lost a lot of people left and right due to sickness like the virus of corona. And so like, when I say corona, obviously I'm also speaking of coronavirus, but I'm also speaking of the mind and the crown, chakra, the crown of your being. And so there's sickness of the mind that we have that leads to like political affiliations or even extremism or, racial identity extremism or, social identity extremism, whatever it may be. And a lot of that has kind of bubbled up to the surface and kind of come to a head this year because a lot of people are frustrated. A lot of people are sitting at home. They got a lot of time on their hands or they got to stick at home with their families or whatever it may be. So it is what it is. And we want to make sure that like, we've lost a lot of people regardless. Like there are people, like everybody on the planet is our people. We have to like stop dividing things. And so we've lost people on both sides, whatever both is, in your dichotomy. And then I said the only way you didn't get the news was you were sitting tight up in a coma. I just like to your point, I kind of like the virus of corona tied up in a coma.
It had like a cheeky, like it just sounds good. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Pocket. A thing I want to add though with lost a lot of people left and right. To me, when you hear that also with your explanation, it's like people, you think somebody's a certain way and you find out what they represent, and now he's lost to you. Peace and out.
Gotta cut him off. Yep.
Exactly, right? And it's kind of ill when you explain that, because for me, I didn't catch that. I didn't catch you like that piece even, right? So for me, that's why I went right away to the Binnu part. Like, you know what I'm saying? I missed that layer. Right. So like, yo, you know?
Well, if I hadn't put the Binnu, if I hadn't put the different spelling in the caption, it might have been lost.
I'm gonna miss that too.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. So and it's like, just so, and I shout out to Oswin Benjamin. I want to say IT.
I think.
But shout out to Oswin Benjamin. Regardless, he does a lot of his videos on IG I've seen where he puts the captions in, and he'll actually put like in parentheses like the double entendre or like the phoneme switch or whatever. And so like, I kind of did that just to kind of do that. But also, like I try to pack as much, multiplicity into my bars as possible, so it may come off simple. But like the way that my mind works when I'm writing this stuff is like, oh yeah, it works this way, and on that level too. Ooh, you know what I'm saying? So I just I like to go with like the simple stuff that ends up sounding, or like when you really go back, you can actually kind of get more the next time. So that's kind of what I was going for.
Yeah, and that kind of, to me, I think maybe it also threw me off because when you see, like, with the lyrics, when you had them as subtitles, when you see the change to Bennu, then it's like, okay, like, the style kind of changed a little bit when you got to that bar. You know what I'm saying? Like, it felt like the intro was kind of, you're introducing it, and then it's like, okay, I'm gonna get to the bars now. It felt like a stylistic shift. So, like, it's easy to get, like, to not see the layer, and that's kind of genius when you do it that way too, because it's like, it's a setup, it's a bait.
The whole thing was a setup.
You know what I'm saying? So it's
listen, like when I was coming up with this, right? I didn't want to have to go look for a beat.
Right.
But I knew I had the rhythm in my head. So I was like, yo, I got to make a beat to this because I can't just like go look for a beat that's going to perfectly fit with what I'm writing. And I didn't want to spit it a cappella. So I was like, I have, let me show you real quick. I have like a machine micro at the crib. So I just decided, let me go ahead
you cooked that beat too?
I made the beat. Yeah.
Damn.
From scratch. Yeah. So like, so what I did was, I tried to kind of like piggyback on like the holiday theme where I don't know if people are familiar with Carol of the Bells, but it's like Christmas is here, spread lots of cheer, da 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 da. And so I kind of took that, and I didn't really sample it, but I sampled like the kind of like musical theme, right, of that. And then I took that and I didn't want to harp on it too much, so I kind of like throughout the beat, I kind of like changed the melody up, throughout every like four bars or every bar or whatever it was. So I did that so that I could have something to rap on, you know what I mean? But yeah, after let me see, the 3/4 signature, like the 1 2 3 2 2 3 3 2 3 4 2 3, like me doing that. Also, I haven't written to that kind of like time signature very much, and so like for me, that's why you see me flipping the rhyme scheme in so many different like segments of the track, because it's like I'm trying to like take my skills and my abilities and essentially like bend them to this time signature so that it can actually have some dynamism to it. It's not just gonna like be monotone or be like the same something you can expect in the next thing. So I was like chopping syllables the whole way through. You know what I'm saying?
It was super ill. I like the flow switches. Like it added a whole nother layer to it, and you producing it adds a whole nother layer to it. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
That's the thing. So it's super ill when you can rap and produce and kind of create like a piece. It's like it's way different than rapping over somebody else's beats. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's a different type of skill.
It's like right? it's well, and it kind of refers to like towards the end. I was talking about cooking up, right? So we'll get to that part. But before we get to that part, I just wanted to say about like the bass line of the track. So like it kind of goes doom 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 doom. Then at the end it's like doom doom doom. So like that idea of it kind of going down is like the descent of society, the descent of normalcy or whatever, and then that doom is like where we are right now, and then doom 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 is like the future, right? And so I kind of was taking the musicality of like the Carol of the Bells, mixing it with this idea that I wanted to like say, okay, we've been going kind of trending downward in terms of like the way society is going and stuff, but we got to go this way, you know what I'm saying? Like we have to go up, we have to go to the future. So that's kind of why I did the beat like that.
The idea of you saying stay hopeful too. So it's like the chaos present, and then you're hoping that it can go up.
Right.
The better days are soon to come. So
soon to come. Yeah, it's all about positivity. It's all about like, listen, we've been through a hell of a year. Like, shout out to, who is it? The baby, you said, we done had a hell of a year. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, yeah, we have to move forward from this with the learnings. We can't just be stuck in like the negativity of how bad it is. And so that's like I've always been trying to communicate that, but it's like I mean I'll touch on some of the stuff towards the end as well, but I said of a comment that Ben knew we was tripping like Osiris Rex. Funny that they use Egyptian god plus a dinosaur for the flex. So
yeah, can you break that bar down like a bit?
Yes.
Like,
so Osiris is the god of the underworld in Egyptian mythology, right? And so Osiris basically represents like when you die, you become Osiris. Like Osiris is not a person that actually existed. It's an aspect of humanity. And so when you die, according to the Egyptians, they believe that you go to the underworld. You go to another place. Your kind of consciousness, your essence, your spirit goes somewhere else, and that place that essence goes has like trials and tribulations and things that you also have to figure out there. And Osiris represents essentially. Also, shout to Osiris Anthem, who was our first Freestyle Fridays guest. So there's that. But yeah, like Osiris basically represents like the God knowledge, the higher knowledge of when I die, I can't just like be asleep and not face the trials that will face me then. I have to like overcome those trials there so that I can ascend to the higher plane after I die. There's like a trials thing. And so there's like the whole feather, weighing the heart with the feather, and like, you know, putting it on a scale and stuff like that. You got to get into Egyptian mythology to really understand it. But and then like Rex. So I think it's either Greek or Latin. Basically means king or like master or whatever, right? So like NASA is really big on using Egyptian and Norse and other kind of like ancient mythologies in their, like even Apollo, the Apollo program, right? So they use a lot of like ancient mythology in their satellites and ships and programs that they send out into space. And so I think there's something to that, and I think that, you know, people who are into space and into like NASA and stuff like that should probably look into like why they're using certain things like that and what those things mean, because there's entailments to that as well. Like we have entailments to our bars. NASA's out there sending bars in physical form out into space. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, so to me that's dope, and it's very like it's very I don't know. It's something that I think a lot of people who are into like using words and using and making ideas physically manifested could get into. So there's that. But like Rex means king and all this kind of stuff. But it also, we know Rex, like the first thing that we think of when we think of Rex is Tyrannosaurus Rex or T-Rex, right? And so like there's like a juxtaposition, but there's also kind of a melding of meaning between Osiris and Rex. And I don't know so much about Bennu. I don't know if Bennu is like an actual like mythological character, but just the fact that they took that combination of Osiris and Rex, it's like Egyptian god plus a dinosaur for the flex. And I say the flex basically meaning like they're putting out bars into space. So that's a kind of a flex when they put these things out there. So the next bar is like by the time.
And Osiris Rex was the
satellite that they sent to Bennu to capture the sample from the asteroid that they're going to then bring back and analyze and find out like what kind of physical constitution does this have? Is it made of this kind of rock or that kind of rock? How old is it? And all this other kind of stuff. So
okay.
So I said by the time that you come back, hopefully everybody will be Rona free. I looked it up, and Osiris Rex has done the scooping, has done the analysis, and is starting to come back. And it should be back according to NASA by 2023. Right? So,
Okay.
So
I see.
I didn't specifically say 2023, but you'll hear the reference to 2023 coming up.
That's ill.
Yeah. So I said hopefully everybody will be Rona free. That's 3 years from now, or 2 years now. So like, here's knocking on wood and hoping and everything. I say regardless, and since I'm one of the hardest, I'm gonna still be on the flow and spree. And then I kind of like roll that into the next line. Yeah, it's me.
Is there a piece there? Because I see even with the way it's written out, regard and hard. Is there a specific thing, or was it just matching the rhyme scheme?
It was just matching the rhyme scheme.
Dope.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was. I had to write it that way for myself. Like I capitalized regard and hard so that I can know to like emphasize that. So I had like a couple of different like writing techniques. Because I'm writing it on digitally, I used to write it, and I have like notebooks upon notebooks. I used to been writing around since '97, so like I definitely have plenty of notebooks that have been collecting dust, and I haven't been using my pen, but I do use digital a lot, and in that I try to like use capitalization. I try to use like dashes,
That's the style.
semicolons and
You
all
gotta
that kind
do
of
it,
stuff.
right? So you don't
Yeah,
feel
whatever it
like
takes.
delivery. Yeah, that's a fact.
Yeah, yeah. Italics, you know what I'm saying? Bold, yeah, all kinds of stuff. Underline.
Cause I do that. I do that too. So when I seen it, I was like, yo, like, it's either just for the scheme or there's like something else that's kind of like
Yeah.
for those two. So I just wanted to touch on that real quick. Sorry to cut you off.
Well, mind you, like where, so when you go back and listen to like where it lays on the beat, it's weird because like for me, I actually got lost a couple of times. I wrote it and then like came back to it and I'm like, wait, how did I say this? And so like I had to go and realize that like that 3/4 kind of time scale was kind of messing me up as to like where do I lay these syllables along the way, because it's calculated. Like you have to have like syllable efficiency, or like, you know what I'm saying, to like really be able to hit these things in a way that like sounds good. So
Right.
I said like regardless, and since I'm one of the hardest, I'ma still be on the flow with spree. And it's like, you know, when you hear it on the beat, it
It's
sounds
the
a lot better.
enunciation of it,
It
the
is.
pockets. It's very
The pockets,
very technical.
exactly.
It's very technical. It's not. It's the idea of like not even just stressing certain things, but how you project your voice and pull back.
Yeah.
And kinda fit
Yeah.
that. So that's super ill. That's super ill. That piece is like that. It's very like, it's kind of like a puzzle.
It is.
I don't know, man.
No,
I like
seriously.
that. I like that rap stuff. It's like, you know, it's
Like,
I like that technical rap a lot. Right?
I definitely have written a lot of puzzles in my lifetime. And,
Super
you know,
ill.
that like if I didn't record them, I come back later and I'm like, this is okay, but I think I probably could say this better, but I don't know how I would say this better. And it's like when I wrote it, I was like, oh, I know exactly how I'm gonna say it, and I didn't record it. So it's
You
like
ever-
puzzles for me. You know what I'm saying?
You ever write something and there's a whole nother layer, and then you come back to it and you forget that layer, and you're like, man, this is okay, and well, something's missing. And then later you realize, you're like, oh damn, like
Yeah.
has that ever happened to you?
Yeah.
Like that's
I've definitely
crazy.
lost. I've definitely lost like like layers of significance, because you know if you don't come back to something in the same mindset that you originally created it, then you may actually add different layers of significance to it because maybe you've grown since then. And in other cases, you may forget how you've grown. So like people who write diaries and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? Like the whole point of writing a diary or a journal is so that you can see your growth. And so it's the same thing when you're writing rhymes, like you actually are writing a diary or a journal for yourself, and you're seeing your growth over time as a rapper or as a lyricist, a poet, or what have you. So definitely, it's something that you know you have to. My homeboy in college used to tell me like keep your pen vertical. You know what I'm saying? And so that's something just to keep writing. Always write. Don't stop. You know. And so that you can see that growth, so that you can see the progression, so that you can always come back and stay in that pocket and be in that flow. So that's that. And then, so I said, yeah, you know, it's me, Stuby Kas. And then it's shout to Momo IT who's in the chat. I was talking to him earlier this year, and I was like, yo, I don't know exactly what I'm gonna rhyme with Stuby Kas, because I like literally I came up with the name soon to be known All Star going into my SOSA application, going into the SOSA process, because before that I was called Fundamental, and to me it was a little too basic of a name. I felt like I needed something more at that point. And so like I said, you know what, like I'm gonna do some nominal determination and call myself soon to be known All Star, because when I'm telling you, like I'm dope, and you'll know in due time. That's basically what it is, you know. But I'm also saying, like, I'm soon to be known, but I'm all star. Everything in me is coming from a star. Like all matter comes from explosions of stars that condense into like, you know, more, you know, granular particles that turn into like carbon and gold and all that stuff.
I've never heard it that way. That's why I'm like, it's like funny
Right.
when you get the other piece, you know. I used to always
Yeah.
hear it as like soon to be known All Star, not the
Right.
All Star, you know. So that's
Right.
it's a bar in itself, you know.
Yeah. Much appreciated. So I said, who the gods, right? I'm gonna say it's me and you. Cause, and I don't really have to break that down too much, but I know that's kind of controversial, because it's like, oh, you know, some people will be like, oh, well, there's only one God. And it's like, that's a conversation. That's a whole, because like there's so many different layers of mythology and all this kind of stuff that people don't acknowledge when they have that conversation. So like when you like look into more stuff, you got more context, right? And so like, so regardless of any of that stuff, I'm saying even if the order's coming from above us, if there is this one God, even if the order's coming from above us, we are still the final ones to see it through. So like the orders come down, and the you could say God's will, our collective will as a human society, as a race of beings on this planet, determines the future. Like the will is actually being executed through us, right? Through human beings. And so we are still the final ones to see it through. Like if it wasn't for us, if we weren't here, then some of these wills would not be carried out, right? So that's kind of the thing where I said, like, well, we're the gods. Maybe we're gods with a small g, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, it's like, if we're supposed to be connected to the higher realm of that deification or what have you, then we have to acknowledge that connection, and we have to utilize that connection. So like, know that you're righteously doing something in the pursuit of the betterment of the human race. And like, to me, that makes you one of the gods, one of us, one of the ones who's actually executing these things, right?
So is it like, is it like the idea of like you kind of using it in the way that like a 5%er would kind of say that?
Kind of, yeah.
Okay.
I definitely had a little bit of influence from them in hip hop, right? As I was kind of coming up in hip hop, like J Live is definitely one of my favorites. I think Jay-Z has gotten into it. I don't know if he was always in it, but he definitely grew up around him. Man, like I think Planet Asia is definitely one of them. And so it's like, just depending on who you talk to, a lot of cats that kind of came up in the New York scene, the underground scene. It's a lot of cats that kind of came out of that spoke on like the gods, right? The gods and the earths, the nation of gods and earths, right? So for those people that are interested, you could look into that stuff, and it might seem kind of out of this world type of thinking, but it's interesting. Like to me, I look at all of these things as forms of like mythology or story that help us understand ourselves. That's the way I look at it. I'm not trying to ascribe to a religion per se in order to develop a worldview. I'm trying to look at how they all kind of coalesce into some kind of something that's cognizant, something that's like I can see it. I can see the patterns, or I can see like the underlying kind of truths throughout all of these things. So that's kind of the way I approach it.
Yeah. Okay. Because I mean, a lot of the stuff, even like let's say even mythology, for example, right? Or like even like there's certain things that you can delve into to kind of like learn and kind of hear that stuff. Because for me, my introduction to it was like Wu-Tang, for example. Like Wu-Tang was a lot of 5% reference.
Right.
All like women are referred to as earths, and like a whole bunch of different stuff going on, right? So for me, it was cool to kind of be able to break down the lingo, like in terms of like, it's just another thing to like kind of what's the word for it, to discover kind of.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it kind of adds another kind of piece to it, right? My only thing with that, and not to kind of spin too long into it, is in terms of like, I feel like a lot of like, how should I say this? Like I feel like it's so like a lot of damn bro, I don't know how to say this correctly. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
Like a lot of people use the word like God, but like what's wrong with just being a man? You know what I'm saying? That's kind of like the piece that I'm looking at it from that. Like if everybo's a god, then what's the tier system?
Depending on who you talk to, it's the same thing. Depending on who you talk to, it's just different ways of saying the same thing. So it's like, and like by all means, I'm not an expert, so like please people don't put me in that category. But I'm just saying, I'm just saying that like I in terms of linguistics and in terms of like the literary mind. I think that, the fact that we have the ability to imagine something and then to create that thing, and now there's a pen that exists that did not exist before, and it actually has a very specific, kind of set of instructions that you have to build it by and all this kind of stuff. But this existed in somebody's mind prior to it existing physically. So to me, there's an aspect of that is godly, right? Because you can create something, even when it comes to poetry and lyrics and stuff. It's like, yo, I can rap some stuff that when I say the things, you can see it in your head. And so like that's transference, that's, psychic powers, whatever you want to call it, but it's beyond what we think man is. We just think that man is just like a physical animal that just crawls, skulks around the planet doing things impulsively. But like once we actually access that higher God, that higher connection within us, and we say, you know what, like there's something greater that's out there, or I can see something that doesn't exist yet, and I'm going to try to do that thing and make that thing happen. So to me, it's like you access God. You don't, it's like as a man, as a human being, you utilize the skills and the abilities that you have, and one of those things is to access a higher realm of being, right? It's like when you dream, right? You dream, you see things, you don't even know how you do it. You're not doing it on purpose, it's just happening. And so if you could get control of that, like people say lucid dreaming and stuff like that, but that same mechanism in your head that allows you to lucid dream allows you to imagine things, and that imagination and that mental space that you have, whether you're daydreaming or during the day or during the night, during the day and the night, during the day and the night when the stars out too, that's another part of it at the end, right? So it's like you gotta access all aspects of what it means to be human to have a full human experience. If you're not accessing the higher thought or the higher kind of mental space, then you're literally just an animal along with all the other animals acting off of impulse and instinct. So that's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like a thorough explanation to kind of to that piece, right? The only thing is, again, for me, it's just because I see that, like, I always see that word thrown around in hip hop, right? So I just like to peel back a little bit more layers to kind of see what that is, right? Because for us, like, you know, tapping into your creativity, tapping into your imagination, tapping into all that stuff, it's like if the way you're describing it, if you put it into that category, I mean, it depends on the labels and how you're like labeling things, kind of, you know. But the term of religion and God is kind of a touchy subject, and it's kind of something that's like, once you go down that wormhole, you're fully committed. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of like,
and I'm gonna be honest,
like probe a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Kind of just see what's going on with that line, right?
And I'm gonna be honest too. Like, you know, being a black man in America, I think that, you know, there's a level of significance too, because like we come from being enslaved by the American kind of government, right? And so there's this idea that, you know, we have to live out the wildest dreams of our ancestors who didn't have an opportunity to even access their higher mindset in the first place, like, because they were just kind of whipped into being animals, right? And so like that God state that like we are actually, because like you start to look at like, well, where did they take us from? And what were the cultures of those people in those places? And how far back does the history of the people from those places that they got taken from go? And what did those people do? And now you start getting into the Egyptian empire. Now you start getting into building pyramids and building all these civilizations and things that ended up happening prior to any of the, and I don't want to get into like European versus African thing, but like prior to the like ancient like civilizations that people talk about, you know, in Europe, like obviously a lot of stuff was going on in Africa. Scientists have already kind of, you know, verified this stuff. And so it's just like the fact that we have to find a connection back to that source is what God is to some people. And so when you connect back as a black person in America, you have to say, I'm a God. Like, and that scares people to say that because it sounds like blasphemy against Christianity, but it doesn't sound like blasphemy from like an Afro kind of centric standpoint, right? It's just that it's shameful for us to be told that we're gods. Like, it's shameful for us to even think of ourselves as higher than what we're told we should be, like the ceiling that we've been given, right? Our ceiling is way lower than some other people's ceilings, and so we got to smash through that ceiling entirely and just shoot out to the stratosphere. So I think that's part of where that comes from.
It's like kind of like a counter to kind of balance all the imbalance, basically, right?
Exactly.
From that point,
to a certain degree.
I mean, I can kind of see it because I know, obviously, like, you know, through history and all that stuff, like a lot of horrific things have happened, like horrific, like to the point where it's like,
and continue to, unfortunately.
Absolutely, right? Especially in America, right?
Yeah.
And so when you kind of explain it from that point, it's kind of like it adds depth to it. It's kind of like a reaction to action. So it's kind of, I can kind of see it more clearly than from like the blasphemy angle that people usually see it, right? So
and that's why I said that's also why. And that's also why I said, like, I'm gonna say it's me and you. It's us. It's all of us, right? It's not just me. I'm not saying I'm a god. I'm saying we are gods. So we have to step into the mantle of like, yo, we can actually do something to, and it goes on with this, like, as I continue on. So like, so then I say, we're still the final ones to see it through. So do your best. Who the best? We the best. And that's kind of that's what I'm saying. It's like,
thing, right? Yeah.
yeah, right. So I'm saying we the gods, but I'm saying we the best. Like we're the best people on earth. We're the best. Like all of us are the best animals, if you want to put it that way. Like we're the best beings on earth. Why? Because we can like build structures. We can like farm. We do agriculture. We can do space travel. There's things that no other animal, no other plant on this earth can do. So we the best, right? So I said DJ Khaled would agree, of course, right? Imagine how we flip it if they look at us from 2020, 23. So that's the year 2020, 23. Not So it's like that's like 20. Let's see, 2023. That would be 20,000. Is that right? Years after when Osiris Rex comes back. I believe. I might be doing that wrong. It might be anyway, whatever. So it's a long time. It's the whole point of it is like it's the far future that we can't even fathom, right? Like we're talking about, well, what's going to happen at 2100? And I'm like, well, what about 2020, 23?
That's 20,000, I think. Yeah, 20,000, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I'm still I don't know why I didn't put commas in it.
Throw me off. like for me, I'm gonna tell you, just like for me in my terms, like I'm kind of seeing what you're kind of saying in terms of the whole collective piece. But like for me myself, like I don't subscribe to that. I think I'm just a dude, bro. Like I think I'm just like a human. You know what I'm saying? So I'm kind of just letting it be known. But
well, that's fine. I mean, but you're still the creator, though, right?
I mean, for me, and the way I see it is this: I think that I'm a man. I think that that being like a human being has its own merits. I feel like if you're considered to be a god, there's too much responsibilities. Like and
too much.
The reason being, right, is because I'm looking at it like this, right? Me as a human, I don't even control. Like I have no control over my heartbeat in terms of actually pacing my heart. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
that's all taken care of for you so you can think.
But that's what I'm saying, though, right?
Right.
But there's certain things that, like, I look at it as, like, okay, like, yo, if I'm a god, then, like, why do I get tired? Or, like, again, it comes down to the definition of God or how you're
right.
Word,
how you conceptualize God. If God is supposed to be untiring, perfect, omniscient and everything, omnipotent, omnipresent, then there's no such thing as God getting tired. There's no such thing as God not controlling every single aspect of every single thing at all times. But that concept might be just, and I'm not trying to, take anything away from anybody's understanding, but it might be that people conceptualize it that way so that they can place that upon everything that they don't understand or have control of and say, like, because I can't control those things, somebody's got to be controlling it. So it must be some omnipresent, omnipotent, omniscient being that is constantly fine-tuning every little thing all the time, because to that omnipotent being, it's nothing. To that omnipotent being, it would be like us writing a rhyme. You know what I'm saying? So like, but that may also be a literary device to help people understand the enormity of things outside of ourselves, because there's so much that we don't understand, and every time we start to understand, there's like this concept of God of the gaps, right? So like people in science used to say, well, God did this, or this is a demon that's inhabiting a person or whatever, and they come to find out, no, it's just a virus, or no, it's just like a psychiatric issue, or no, it's just physics that we now can test and understand. So like before all those things were understood, it was like, well, no, that was just God, because we don't understand it, so we're just gonna call it God. So that's it. I mean, and like, but like again, that everybody deserves to have their own beliefs and be able to kind of operate in that way, as long as it doesn't hurt anybody else.
Of course, right? I think it goes down to the labeling, and it kind of goes down to how you're approaching the word. Like, you might use a certain word and it sounds like blasphemy in a certain thing, right? And for me, the reason I'm kind of taking a lot of time to kind of understand what you're saying is because, again, for me, I don't want to agree with something if I don't truly agree with it, right? So I'm kind of just trying to break it down, see what you're kind of saying, kind of understand that piece. Exactly. But for me, my thing,
it's important. you don't want to get okie doked by somebody else's information, right? Somebody else could give you information, and if you just be like, all right, it sounds good enough to me, and I'm gonna subscribe to it, and it's like, all right, well, you just got duped into some
But
demonic or satanic thing that now
but
is
not,
like all about, you know.
but not even to that like level. It's kind of even
Yeah,
just a matter of like yo, like if you have your certain ideas and your
belief
certain
systems,
things,
yeah,
and it's like by just agreeing with something, like it's different to gain an understanding or open a
right,
dialogue than to just be
right,
like, yeah, word. Like I'm
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of
yeah,
just touching on it to kind of, you know what I'm saying?
exactly.
Like usually
Like,
going down the wormhole this far is like, yo, you know, but it's kind of like, let me just hear him out a little bit. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah. It's
And it's
definitely
kind of
important for
even
everybody to get the understanding for themselves. Yeah, for sure.
exactly. Right. And so, after that, you say if the order's coming above us, we're the final ones to see it through.
Yeah,
And then, yeah,
yeah.
okay.
Yep. And so do your best. Who the best? We the best. DJ Khaled would agree. Imagine how we flip it. Imagine how we flip it. Like imagine what could happen in 2021 and how that's going to go down in the history books. Like the painful year of transition of 2020, right? Followed by a beneficial transmission into the future to say like, hey guys, we got this all straightened out because we actually buckled down and got together and figured out how to make this work. And now in 2023, you guys are like off in other parts of the galaxy at this point and, you know, prospering and spreading and like letting humanity be great as God said we should, right? Be fruitful and multiply, right? So that's it's like, but we had to come together. And if it's going to be in 2020, great. 2021, great. Whenever we decide to do it, but we have to come together and decide to do it, or else it's all going to just be continual chaos until we come together and decide to do it. Because there's always going to be a power structure.
And I feel
So
like for me, even hearing that 2020, 23, it still kind of put 2023 by itself in the head. Like it sounded like you're doing a scheme to keep the flow going. Like you
yeah,
extended it a little bit more, right? So
right.
it's dope in that sense because it's like it brings back the Osiris Rex piece. It brings back, like
Right.
everything is kind of connected with what you're saying. It's all in orbit, kind of, right? So
Exactly.
that's super ill. Again, I just want to touch up on that and kind of like give that little layer to it because that's how I heard it.
Yeah.
I'm like, man, this guy, like he stretched it. He just, you know, the little
Right.
repetition piece, right?
Right.
So super ill, super ill.
Thank you. So then let's see. I said a painful year of transition followed by a beneficial transmission. Give them something good to talk about, right? Like I'm speaking to everybody. I'm saying give them something good to talk about. We don't got to stick to fan fiction or the kitchen. And fan fiction is like the entertainment that we give ourselves, right? The entertainment that we give each other. Like, yo, I'm gonna tell you a story about this. I'm gonna tell you a story about Luke Skywalker. I'm gonna tell you a story about, you know, Harry Potter or somebody else, right? And that's gonna distract you from. I mean, it's gonna tell you a story that you can apply to your own life, but it's gonna be through somebody else's character. Well, how about we are the ones that make the story happen now with ourselves, and we play the roles of these characters in real time in life, like as a, let's say, reality TV show, right? Let's do it. Like, there's no reason we have to wait for the Kardashians or anybody else to like jump on the TV and say wild stuff or do anything great. We have the capacity to come together and do these things ourselves. And as we do great things, it's gonna show up on TV anyway because we are a social race of beings, right? Like we want to know what other people are doing. So if people are doing great things, right, then it's gonna become a story anyway. The Trump was a story between 2016 and 2020, right? So like, so we can be the heroes of these stories if we choose to. So we don't got to stick to fan fiction. We don't have to be Game of Thrones in it all the time. We can be making our own stuff up. Or the kitchen. And the kitchen is where you cook up, right? The kitchen is, and like, obviously to the dope boys out there, you know what I'm saying? Hip hop has always kind of that there's been this aspect of like, you know, selling substances to fiends, right? And so like, however you want to flip that, it's like, you know, you don't have to be in the kitchen in order for us to like make the world a better place, in order for us to do things together. However, the kitchen is where things are cooked up, right? The kitchen is, and you can call it the kitchen, you can call it the lab in the case of rappers, you know what I'm saying? Whatever you want to call it, but it's like, that's why I said like cooking up, looking up is good during the day and at night when the stars out too. Like you could be in the kitchen cooking up, but you could go outside and look in the sunlight at the trees, at the birds flying. You can get a sense, you can breathe some fresh air. You can get a sense of outdoors, outside, no limits. sky limits, beyond sky limits, right? As opposed to it being just about, you know, just staying in the house and just trying to like keep things away from everybody else
Like
and just do your own little
don't
thing.
box yourself in.
Exactly.
And it fan fiction in the kitchen, like you don't only have these two options. You got
Yeah, exactly.
your world out there to kind of
It's
explore.
a huge world. Exactly.
Kind of like, don't limit yourself, basically.
Exactly. Don't limit yourself, right? And so I said during the day and at night when the stars out too, right? And then, so it's like, so at night when the stars are out, you can go outside and look at the stars. You can look at the moon. You can look at the planets. You can look at the fact that we have all these things out in the universe that are existing regardless of whether we are here or not. And so the enormity of the universe is something to fathom that will humble you and not put you in an egocentric kind of standpoint. And so I think that's the other aspect of it is like, you know, look up at the sun, or not at the sun, but like look up look up during the day, you know what I'm saying, and enjoy the beautiful skies and the beautiful birds and trees and the wind, and even look at the fact that we have planes flying in this and like huge megaton, you know, things just flying through the air. Like we did that together somehow, you know what I'm saying? And so like the beauty of that. And then also at night, there's like alignments, like just recently during, I think it was December 21st, there was the alignment of Jupiter and Saturn, right? And it was it's called a conjunction. And so it's like it's very, very rare for those two planets to be in alignment from our perspective to see that in the sky. And look at the light that is being generated from those things. That light is hitting our eyeballs when you go outside and you look at it, right? So like if you got the eyeballs and you're able to go out there and look at it, then, you know, receive that and understand that like that's out there. So let your ambition, and that's why the next thing is like ambition got to be about you staying hopeful, never doubt, right? And so and pull, I'm gonna touch on that as the last thing, but like ambition has to be about you staying hopeful, right? And so like you can be hopeful about, well, I want to get this job, I want to achieve this one goal of mine. But then after you achieve that goal, stay hopeful that you can achieve the next one. Stay hopeful that you're going to continue to build upon all these things. And collectively, we got to stay hopeful about what we can achieve and how we can move forward as a society. So 2021 can be a year of ambition for all of us if we all work together to make that thing happen. Like it don't even, like some people can make their dreams come true and achieve their goals on their own. But how much power is in numbers when it comes to like people trying to achieve things? When you get two or more people in the room, according to, you know, the Christian belief, it's like, and they pray together in faith, then it's like, that's stronger than one person being by themselves trying to do it on their own. So anytime you get multiplicity in things, you start to multiply the actual power that's being sent out into the universe, that's being put into yourself, or whatever you want to call it. So there's that. So I said, never doubt, right? So that's honestly kind, lightweight, thin branch for sure. Reasonable Doubt is one of the greatest albums that, you know, we talk about in hip hop, but it's like, you know, never doubt, never doubt yourself, you know, stop doubting. Doubt is not positive. Doubt is not helpful.
And that's ill that you mentioned that too, because you did refer to it with the way you flipped your flow to the J flow, kind of like that.
A little bit.
That kind of, so kind of like fits. I see you.
Yeah. And then the last word, pull, like that word by itself means like not only pull yourself up by the bootstraps, which some people it'll rub some people the wrong way, but it's also like pull yourself towards the future that you want. Pull yourself towards that ambition. Like if you're trying to climb a mountain, what do you have to do? Pull. When you climb, you pull. When you're on a ladder, you pull. When you're, when you run, when you put your foot on the ground, what are you going to do after it hits the ground? You're going to pull your foot back towards you and behind you so you can take that other step. So just keep pulling, because at the end of the day, the progress that you make is based on the effort that you made to pull your future towards yourself.
It's kind of like even pull, like a pull-up, like you're reaching a different height. You you're putting motion into work. You're creating that thing. You're kind of consistently pushing. Or pulling,
exactly. Pulling, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Word.
Yeah. I mean, if people say push yourself, but I would say pull yourself.
Mm.
You know, so that's
Well,
just me.
do you think push has like a more negative connotation?
No, it's just a choice. It's word choice.
Choice of
It's just a
words.
word choice.
Okay, word,
Yeah.
word, word. Okay, okay,
To
dope.
me, I look at it like this. Ambition is a mountain. Your
Hmm.
ambition, depending on how like my ambition is like, Everest, right? Like what I'm trying to do in my life is so far removed from where I'm currently at that I have to look at the top of that mountain and be like, I got to get up there. But the
Hmm.
only way that I'm going to get up there is by pulling myself up there. That's the
Facts,
only way. I can't push myself up there. I got to pull myself up there because
facts.
gravity is working against me, right?
Hmm.
So, yeah, that's the way I look at it.
That's crazy. It's different. It's a different.
Shout out to Shep Diggity in the chat.
Yeah, show the ship IR. It's kind of like it's a different way to kind of even look at in terms of words. Like for me, the word push always had that had like a more like a negative feel for me because it feels like you're kind of forcing something versus pull is like a friendlier like you're lifting yourself up kind of. So
Yeah,
to me, that's why I was touching on that. Like,
yeah.
see if you kind of got that feeling as well, right?
You don't really think of being pushed towards somebody as much as you think of pushing someone away.
Or even like if somebody pushes me, it's like, damn, like I don't want to move. But if I'm pulling, then it's
Yeah.
me doing the motion. Like
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? It's like, to me, it's like two different, like slight meanings. Like somebody
Yeah.
pushed you, you don't want to leave, you got shoved out of the way. But when you
Right.
pull, like you can never pull yourself. Somebody can't, I mean, they could pull you, I guess, but I don't know, man. You see what I'm saying?
Also,
Like I kind of have
also in a rowboat, right? So going back to
Mhm.
the Egyptian mythology, right? You look at some of these what do you call them? Hieroglyphics, right?
Right.
And you'll see like a long boat, and you'll see people rowing on that boat, and then you'll see somebody standing at the front of the boat.
Mhm.
And even in modern days, it's like in rowing or crew, I guess, like crew rowing or whatever they call it. They have like a bullhorn, and they're like pull, pull,
Oh, and they all
pull, and they're
synchronized.
all
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
synchronized the pull, and so they move forward because they're pulling, which in turn, because of the lever aspect of the oar that they're pulling, it pushes the water away from them, and then it projects them backwards. So they're facing backwards towards the past, if you will, or away from their destination, but they're pulling, which is then pushing them towards their future. So that's another way of looking at it too.
Mm-hmm. And
That
that's
kind of
chill.
ties back into the Egyptian thing.
Exactly, right? Kind of like
Yeah.
connects every piece kind of together, right? Okay, so so with something like this, I know you went over the construction of the beat, you went over the writing of it. What would you say the overall like message is? Is it the idea like you said with the last bar, like never losing hope, not doubting in yourself, kind of no limits, kind of push towards the future? Is that kind of what you would want the listener to kind of take away from it?
Yeah, looking back at the year of 2020, we've been through a lot, and we achieved some things. We
Right.
achieved some amazing things. We've been through a lot, but we have to pull ourselves towards our future. That's it. Like
That's the
whatever
message.
that future is, the future that you want. You know what I'm saying? Pull yourself towards the future that you want. So like that's to me, that's the whole thing. It's like the whole beat is like doom doom doom. The whole thing is like everything's coming down, but it's gonna come back up again. It's either a pendulum swing or a bounce back or however you want to look at that. It's like we have to keep moving forward anyway. So just get yourself to that future. Get yourself there. You know what I'm saying? Be ambitious. It's okay.
Highs and lows, seasonal changes, all that stuff. Things will
Ebbs and
continue,
flows, etc.
right? 100%, 100%. Okay. Is there anything else, any other layers that you kind of wanted to touch up on with it, or did you kind of like?
That was
I
it.
think you kind of dove into it. We kind of like I feel like there was a lot more to unpack in terms of the construction of it, right? Like I'll give you an example. Like
Yeah.
if I didn't have this conversation with you,
Uh-huh.
I would have never known you made the beat. I would have never noticed that dum dum. You know what I'm saying? Like there's so
Yeah.
many different layers that when you have the conversation with somebody, it makes you appreciate a piece a lot more. It gives it more depth and more layers, right? And I feel like with this piece, we kind of peel back your mind a little bit. We kind of understood the process, and we kind of were able to, like for me, it's beneficial for me when I see things from different lenses because then it adds to like how should I like I grow when I listen to things like that and when I take it from the source because I know for me like when you live in your head you kind of like create certain things your way and then you see it done a different way you don't catch it adds like it adds more to your experience, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So for
Right.
me it's like I want to extend like a thank you to you for being even and all the other
Yeah,
ITs
man.
for even being able to kind of do something like this. Like it's good to
Yeah.
see it's good to see people who are the best at things perform them, and it's good, you know, it's good to learn. So it's
Yeah,
kind of
I'm
like
humble. I appreciate
thing,
that.
my guy, you
And
know.
and also like, you know, as the host of Freestyle Fridays, I never really like expressed or never really like put myself out there as a rapper. I was just like the host at the time, you know. And so I'm just glad that I could get an opportunity to kind of cap off 2020 and this entire season of what we're doing at Life is a Freestyle and what we're doing at SOSA
Right.
with the Full Circle crew, you know, as like a hey, I'm dope with it too. Don't forget, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm here for a reason, y'all. Like I can rap my ass off, you know what I'm saying? But, you know, it's not about that. It's about us. It's about us collectively, all of us. So like, you know, like I'm here for us. I'm not here for just me, self-aggrandizement or any of that kind of stuff. But like I'm gonna be on a flowing spree. You know what I'm saying? Like for as long as I choose to be, and then when I come off of that spree, I could jump back on it when I choose to. And it's like I have it within me. And so y'all got to remember too, you have it within you to do whatever it is that you do well, and you don't have to always be doing it, but you just have to make sure that you keep it sharp. Just keep it sharp enough to where when the next time you dust it off and put it out there, that you know it's
Got it.
for everybody. You know what I'm saying?
100%. And with you now, Stuby Kas IT, is there anything else that you're going to be releasing soon? Is there anything else on the lookout to let people know? Or is it kind of you're in the lab? Because I know you're consistently working. I know you got bars for days. Like you know,
I got bars, man.
I know you do. I know you do this. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But so
yeah.
for the viewers, is there anything else they should be on the lookout for?
I'm gonna be honest, man. Like my main focus right now, surprisingly for some people, is that I'm a game designer, and so like I'm actually working on a game. I've been working on this game called Rap Quest 2. It's actually a sequel to the game I made first called Rap Quest. And
Right.
it's mobile. It's a mobile game, so it's in the Google Play Store. And Rap Quest 2 is in the Android, the Apple Store as well. And so you know, I'm just kind of, I'm at the point now where I'm about 70% or so done with that. But like, I have this imprint called Fresh Dope Games. It's my like little game studio, individual game studio thing. And so I'm just trying to get that done this year for sure, 2021. Actually, probably within this quarter, I'm trying to get it out the door so I can kind of like, it's a game about rap. It's a game about being a rapper and understanding the ins and outs of trying to like put together, you know, rhyme schemes, but also like promote yourself and also like just living the lifestyle. So it's a pretty like it's got a lot of different elements to it, but like I've been playing video games my whole life, and I definitely wanted to take what I do with the bars and turn that into something physical / digital / you know tangible that people can actually exactly. So people can just like you know ingest hip hop in a different way because hip hop doesn't really exist very strongly within the video game space, and so that's me trying to like do my work to try to like you know, put that in there. And then once I'm done with that and once I kind of get a lot of those games under my belt and stuff, I'll definitely come back to rapping. But, you know, it's one of those things that I don't think I'm ever going to get too dusty with.
And I think it's ill for it to be represented in like the gaming world. Like I feel like if it's pulled off right, it'd be like a crazy game, you know? And I feel like nothing like that really exists now. So you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So that's kind of like, yo, like, you know, I'm looking forward to you know, to you bodying that. Hopefully, you know, it's something that could come to fruition in a way that's like beautiful, and I'm sure you got it down pat. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, thank you for tuning in, IT. Thank you for breaking down this verse. To everybody, we're talking about Source number 6, 2020 wrap up. Stuby Kas IT. Make sure y'all follow him, show him some love. Download that game, Fresh Dope Games, and me and you we'll be in touch behind the scenes.
Yeah, we'll chop it up.
But yeah, my guy, thank you so much for tuning in, brother. Appreciate
Peace,
it.
y'all.
Stay safe. Have a good year. You know, hopefully, blessings and health.
Exactly.
You know how that goes. IT.
Stay safe, y'all.
Take care, my guy. Peace.
All right, peace.